After 25 years of loyalty, I was fired by a man I had never met. I left with a cardboard box in one hand and the CEO at my side. But that's not even the strangest part. For 25 years, I walked the same halls, drank from the same bitter coffee machine, and parked in the same cracked spot in the back lot. That building wasn't just where I worked, it was a part of me. I watched it change. I saw the vending machines get upgraded, the computers shrink, the faces grow younger. But I stayed. Through all of it, I stayed. I was never the loudest in the room, never the one chasing promotions. I just showed up on time every time. I knew the numbers like the back of my hand, could fix the copier with a paperclip, and remembered everyone's birthday without needing a calendar. People came to me for advice, for stories, even just to vent. I liked being that guy, the steady one, the anchor. Every now and then someone would ask, "You ever think of leaving?" I'd smile and say, "Why would I leave something I helped build?" But lately, things felt off. There was a quiet tension humming through the office. HR was holding closed-door meetings. My manager, Claire, avoided eye contact. Then one Monday morning, the email came. "Please welcome our new CEO, Mr. Hayden Knox." No picture, no intro video, just a name and a promise of exciting new changes. I remember laughing. Exciting always means someone else getting cut. I didn't think it would be me. Still, I kept doing what I always did, reviewing reports, guiding the interns, sharing corny jokes in the break room. But beneath my routine, I felt something shifting, like the building was holding its breath, like I was walking on a frozen lake and the cracks were starting to show under my feet. I saw him once from a distance. Tall, young, sharp suit. Didn't look like someone who'd spent a day behind a desk. He moved through the office like he owned the air. Something in my gut tightened. I brushed it off. After all, why would a man like that care about someone like me? I didn't know it yet, but everything I knew, everything I was about to unravel. The first time I shook Hayden Knox's hand, I noticed two things. His grip was firm and his eyes didn't linger. It was like he was already somewhere else in his head, calculating, judging, moving on. They held a company-wide meeting that Friday, introduced him properly. He stood on the small stage in the break room, flanked by board members in stiff blazers. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "We're entering a new era," he said, "where innovation and efficiency are our top priorities." I stood in the back next to Linda from payroll. She leaned in and whispered, "I don't like him." I didn't say anything, but I didn't disagree. Hayden's speech was polished, confident, full of big words that didn't really mean much. Synergy, optimization, restructuring. My chest tightened a little at that last one. Restructuring meant changes, and changes meant casualties. After the meeting, he walked the floor, meeting people in short bursts. When he got to me, he extended his hand and said, "You must be Tom. 25 years, right?" I nodded, surprised he even knew that. "Impressive," he added with a tight smile, then turned to the next person before I could respond. That was it, my first real interaction with him. But after that day, things started to change fast. Meetings were canceled or rearranged. Teams were shuffled. Departments merged. Old processes I helped build were suddenly deemed outdated. The hallway chatter turned nervous. People started watching their backs. I tried to stay out of it, kept my head down and focused. But I couldn't ignore the shift in energy. It was like the soul of the place was being drained out, replaced with sleek designs and hollow words. I didn't know where I fit anymore. I wasn't young. I wasn't flashy. I didn't have a LinkedIn full of buzzwords. All I had was history, memories, loyalty, and the respect of my peers. But I could feel it like a storm just over the horizon. My time was running out. And when the call from HR came, asking me to meet with them the next morning, I already knew. I barely slept that night. I kept turning over in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the email. It was short. Just a calendar invite from HR, 9:30 a.m., no subject line, no explanation. That kind of message doesn't leave much room for hope. My wife noticed. "You okay?" she asked softly. "Yeah," I lied, "just tired." At 9:25, I walked the long stretch to HR, my stomach a knot of cold wire. I passed the break room, where a couple of the younger guys laughed over a video on someone's phone, just like any other day. But for me, everything felt heavier, like the building itself knew what was coming. I stepped into the conference room. Claire was already there, my manager for the past 8 years. She looked up at me with sad eyes. That's when I knew for sure. Hayden Knox sat beside her, arms folded, face unreadable. Tom, Claire began, thank you for coming in. I nodded, stayed standing. Claire's voice shook a little. This isn't easy to say. As part of the company's restructuring, we've made the difficult decision to eliminate your position. Just like that, 25 years gone in one sentence. I looked at Hayden. Did you even look at what I do, what I've built here? He didn't flinch. This isn't personal, Tom. The company needs to move in a new direction. These decisions are necessary. Necessary? That word hit harder than I expected. I wanted to argue, to shout, to make them see me, but all I could do was nod. If I spoke, I would have broken. Claire slid a folder toward me. Severance details. 2 months of pay, benefits till the end of the quarter. A polite goodbye wrapped in legal paper. I left the room numb. My legs moved, but I barely felt them. People looked up as I passed, some whispering, some staring in silence. No one said anything. I reached my desk and sat down slowly. My hands hovered over the keyboard. I had no idea what to type. I wasn't just losing a job. I was losing my place in the world. The hardest part wasn't the meeting. It wasn't even hearing the words out loud. It was the box. HR gave me one, plain cardboard, folded neatly. Claire left it on my desk without saying much, just a quiet, "Take your time." Then she walked away and I was alone. I stared at the box for a long time before I unfolded it. My hands moved slowly, almost on their own, as if my body knew what needed to be done while my mind lagged behind. First went the photo frame, me and the team at our holiday party in '9. Back when people stayed late not because they had to, but because we actually enjoyed being together. That night, we'd all worn ugly sweaters. I had won the contest, smiling wide in a red monstrosity with blinking lights. Next, the old mug with the chip on the rim, world's okayest employee. A gift from Jenna, one of the interns I'd mentored years ago. She now worked at a big firm downtown, but she still sent me a Christmas card every year. Every item I packed held a memory. The stress ball shaped like a brain. The paperweight shaped like a shoe, a joke from Mark after I once said I'd lost my footing in a meeting. Even my stapler, one I brought from home because I never liked the company ones. As I worked, people passed by, some stopped, some didn't. Linda from payroll hugged me tight, whispering, "It's not fair, Tom." Josh from It just gave me a nod, eyes glassy. A few avoided me altogether, maybe out of awkwardness, maybe fear. No one wants to catch the layoff curse. I tried to keep it together, but my throat stayed tight. I didn't want a goodbye party, no send-off. I just wanted to leave with a little dignity. By the time the box was full, the weight of it felt heavier than it should have, like I was carrying pieces of myself. As I turned to go, I glanced one last time at my desk, at the empty space where my life used to be. Then I walked toward the elevator, unaware that someone was already waiting for me. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime. I stepped in, clutching the box against my chest like it was the last piece of myself I had left. Just before the doors closed, a hand reached out and stopped them. It was him. Hayden Knox stepped inside, briefcase in one hand, eyes scanning the floor numbers, but I could feel it, he knew I was there. We stood in silence as the doors shut, the space suddenly too small. I didn't say anything, I didn't owe him words, but after a few seconds he spoke. "You've been here a long time." I glanced at him, 25 years. He nodded slowly. "That's longer than I've been alive in most of my jobs." Silence again, the elevator hummed downward. "I didn't want it to go this way," he said quietly, almost like he wasn't sure he should say it out loud. I looked at him, really looked at him this time. He didn't seem smug or cold like he had in the meeting. He looked tired, worn down, human. "Then why did it?" I asked, not harshly, just honestly. He let out a slow breath. "Because I was sent here to cut costs, to streamline." My first week, they handed me a list. Your name was already on it. My heart sank, so it was already decided before he even met me. "You didn't even know me," I said. "I didn't," he admitted. "But I read about you, your history here, your team's respect. Honestly, I should have taken your name off. I wanted to, but I didn't, and that's on me." We stood there, two men at opposite ends of a decision, stuck between floors. "I thought being CEO would mean I could make things better," he continued. "Turns out, sometimes it just means you pull the trigger while someone else loads the gun." The elevator dinged, ground floor. I didn't move. Neither did he. Then he turned to me and said something I didn't expect. "I don't think I can do this much longer." And for the first time since I got the news, I wasn't just angry. I was confused. Because I saw something in his eyes I didn't expect: regret. We didn't step outside right away. Hayden looked at the revolving glass doors like they were some kind of barrier, like walking through them would make everything too real. I stood beside him, arms wrapped around the box, waiting for him to say something more. And then he did. "Do you have a few minutes?" he asked, his voice low. I should have said no. I should have just walked out, head held high. But something about his face, strained, distant, like a man fraying at the edges, made me pause. We ended up in a coffee shop 2 blocks away, the kind with warm lighting and mismatched mugs. We sat near the back. I placed my box beside me like a reminder of why we were there. He took a sip of his coffee, hands shaking slightly. "I wasn't supposed to take this job," he said. "I had offers from tech firms, startups, places where I could have built something, but this offer came with a title. CEO, a corner office, a big salary. I thought it meant I'd made it." He paused, his eyes didn't meet mine. But the second I stepped in, they handed me a report, red numbers, projections, overhead costs, and a list of names, people too expensive to keep. "You were on page 1. I clenched my jaw. "You could have said no." He nodded. "I could have, but I didn't. I wanted to prove myself to the board, to everyone who said I was too young, too soft." Now his voice cracked a little. "I sat in that room with you today and realized I wasn't firing just an employee. I was erasing a legacy." I didn't know what to say to that. I came expecting coldness, maybe a half-hearted apology. Not this. He looked at me again, this time fully. "You're not the kind of person who should be walked out with a box. You should have had a parade." My throat tightened. "You still have a job," I said finally. "Do I?" he whispered. He looked around the cafe, at the people laughing over lattes, at the world outside our little bubble. "I'm not sure I belong in that building anymore." For the first time, I wondered if he felt just as lost as I did. We sat in that little coffee shop for what felt like hours, though the clock said otherwise. Hayden was no longer the CEO in a suit across the table. He was just a man unraveling, trying to make sense of a system that had swallowed him whole. And strangely, for the first time in weeks, I wasn't consumed by anger. "I don't know what you want from me," I said. My voice was quiet, not accusing, just tired. "An apology, closure." "No," he said. "I think I just needed to say it out loud to someone who mattered." He looked me in the eyes, and I saw the weight behind his words. "You deserved better, Tom. People like you built that company. Not me, not the board, you." I didn't know how to respond. I'd spent days bracing myself for resentment, bitterness. But now, hearing that, really hearing it, felt like something inside me shifted. "I gave them everything," I said. "My time, my ideas, my weekends. I missed birthdays, anniversaries, moments I can't get back. I never asked for much, just to matter. And the way it ended, it felt like I didn't." Hayden looked down at his coffee. "I know that feeling." I raised an eyebrow. "Do you?" He nodded. "I walk into every room like I'm supposed to have all the answers. But the truth is, I feel like a fraud most days. I make decisions that hurt people, and I go home wondering if I'm becoming someone I don't recognize." He rubbed the back of his neck. "When I saw your name on that list, I hesitated. I wanted to take it off. But I was afraid that pushing back would make me look weak, that I'd lose the board's trust." "And now?" I asked. He gave a hollow laugh. "Now I realize losing their trust might have been the best thing I could have done." We both sat in silence, 2 men bound by regret, both feeling the sting of choices made by others and by ourselves. "I can't undo what happened," he said finally. "But I don't want to walk back in there pretending like I didn't just tear something important apart." And that's when he said it, quietly, but with something like resolve. "I think I'm done too." We left the coffee shop in silence, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows on the sidewalk. The city buzzed around us, oblivious to the quiet storm between 2 men who had lost their footing in very different ways. I still held the box, my life packed away in cardboard, but now it felt lighter somehow, like it wasn't just a symbol of what I'd lost, but maybe a sign of something new. We walked side by side, our steps unplanned but somehow perfectly in sync. No words needed. When we reached the building, the revolving doors stared back at us like a barrier between past and future. Hayden hesitated, then turned to me. "Come on," he said, "let's walk out together." I looked at him, confused. He smiled, a little wry and tired. "If this place is done with us, then maybe we should be done with it too, together." For a moment, I thought about turning back, about fighting harder for a place that no longer felt like mine. But something in his honesty broke through all my stubborn pride. So we stepped through the doors, not in defeat but side by side like allies. Employees stopped and stared as we passed. Whispers floated after us, but I didn't care. It wasn't just a walk out of a building. It was a walk out of old roles, old expectations, and the invisible chains that had held us both captive. Outside, Hayden looked over and said, "I don't know what's next, but maybe that's okay." I nodded, "Me neither." We exchanged a look, not just of shared loss, but of a strange, hopeful beginning. For the first time in years, I felt like I was more than just a job title, like I was a man who could still rewrite his story. And maybe, just maybe, so was he. Walking away from that building felt like shedding a heavy coat I'd worn for decades. The weight of 25 years lifted just enough for me to breathe a little deeper. Hayden and I exchanged numbers that day, an unexpected connection forged in loss and honesty. We didn't have answers or plans, just a shared understanding that something had to change. The days after were strange, quiet without the buzz of the office, but also strangely free. I spent mornings drinking coffee on my porch, watching the world wake up. I let myself feel the emptiness that came with losing a job that had defined me, but also the flicker of possibility underneath. I started talking to old friends, to my wife, even to myself in the mirror. Who was I without the company? What did I want now? It wasn't easy. Old habits pulled me toward bitterness. Sometimes I caught myself replaying the moment Hayden said he was done too. It made me wonder, what kind of man was he beneath the CEO title? Was he as lost as I felt? One afternoon I got a call. It was Hayden. "I'm stepping down," he said. "I want to start something new, something real. Would you want to help?" I didn't hesitate. Together we started planning. Not a company, at least not yet, but a project, an idea. Something built on respect, on the kind of loyalty I thought had disappeared. For the first time in a long time, I felt excitement. Not just for a paycheck, but for a purpose. The journey ahead was uncertain, messy, and scary, but it was ours. And after 25 years of feeling stuck, that felt like everything. It's been a few months since I walked out of that building for the last time, this time not alone, but with Hayden by my side. The world hasn't magically fixed itself, and there are still hard days, but something's different. We're building something new together, a small consultancy focused on helping companies care about their people, not just profits. It's not glamorous or huge yet, but every client we take on feels like a step in the right direction. I still carry that box sometimes, the memories packed inside, but now it feels less like a weight and more like a foundation. The thing I learned through all this isn't just about losing a job or a title. It's about what happens after the doors close and the lights go out. It's about how you rise when everything you thought defined you falls away. I found out that even after 25 years, you can start over. You can find purpose outside the places that once held you down. And the strangest thing, sometimes the people who seem like your biggest adversaries end up walking out the door with you, because they're just as lost, just as human. If I could say one thing to the younger me, it would be this: your worth isn't tied to your job. It's in your heart, your character, your courage to keep going when the world turns cold. This new chapter is still being written, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to see where it goes. Because sometimes, the end of one story is really just the beginning of another.